Rejected by everyone, the food truck girl never expected the Millionaire CEO to reveal their past. Maria stood at her weathered food truck, Maria's Kitchen, feeling the weight of countless rejections. The scent of her creamy mac and cheese wafted into the air, yet their disdain hung over her like a shroud. Childish whim, they called it. Her family always viewed her passion for cooking as mere folly, and the locals? They snickered, clutching their more respectable meals, seeing her efforts as little more than a laughable daydream. Even now, working the corner of Maple and 4th, she felt isolated in her relentless pursuit of culinary comfort. What did they know about warmth served on a plate? She hesitated, fear gnawing at her. Was her dream truly frivolous, or was it simply misunderstood? Today, as she stirred the bubbling pot with a wooden spoon, each stir reminded her of the endless support she sought but never received. She worried about tomorrow's sales on top of yesterday's losses. A sudden rumble broke through her spiraling thoughts. A sleek black car rolled up to the curb in front of her truck. It felt like danger and a faint glimmer of hope all at once. The door swung open, and out stepped Jack, a face from her past that had become a relic of childhood dreams and aspirations. They had shared countless laughs and tender promises to pursue greatness together, but life had ensnared them in different trajectories. "Jack," she whispered, disbelief flooding her senses. He stood before her, impeccably dressed, oozing the confidence that came from a life of measured success. The glimmer in his eyes softened when he caught the familiar scent of her cooking. She took his order, her heart racing between nostalgia and apprehension. What did this polished stranger want with the girl who had not yet escaped their small town? But as he devoured the mac and cheese, his eyes lit up, and he choked on his bite, a laughter of recognition spilling out. "This is incredible, Maria. Your Haven tea changed a bit." Suddenly, she felt both seen and vulnerable. Before she had time to unravel her fear, he publicly praised her at the local gathering later that week. The town turned its gaze toward her, but instead of applause, she felt whispers surround her like a choking fog. Jealousy bubbled among her loyal patrons, while her family's guarded glances hardened into judgment. What did he see in her? They queried silently. Her two worlds collided. Jack's acknowledgement ignited a flickering flame of pride, yet she was suffocated by unease, questioning whether such recognition was valid or just a misguided favor. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As Jack began to dig deeper into their childhood, something in Maria clicked. She saw him as more than just a childhood hero. He bore the same burdens she did. They shared secrets that felt heavy, family pressures that chiseled their destinies against the backdrop of ambition. But turbulence surfaced as Maria unearthed the strife that ran between their families, igniting tension like a spark in dry brush. Could she trust the guy who posed a mirror to her repressed fears? Just as their connection began to define a new path forward, the pressure mounted. Maria's family confronted her with an ultimatum, threatening everything she had built. And now she faced an impossible choice: chase recognition or remain loyal to a lineage that never supported her dreams. The truth roared in her mind. Could she resurrect her dreams without the ghosts of her past haunting her every step? Maria stood in the cramped confines of her food truck, Maria's Kitchen, the walls closing in as the familial ultimatum replayed in her mind. They wanted her to quit, to abandon the truck and the dreams that seemed so tangible just days ago. Her heart raced, oscillating between anger and fear. Could she let go of all she had fought for so easily? It felt like a betrayal, not just to herself but to the culinary legacy she was trying to build, even if it was met with skepticism and derision. Jack's unexpected visit had lit a spark of hope, but it now flickered dangerously close to extinguishing. What if she could expand on this fleeting moment of recognition? He had believed in her when her own family in town did not. Yet, his praise now felt like a double-edged sword, lifting her spirits only to plunge them back into doubt. Each judgmental glance from her past tugged at her confidence, a reminder that success was a relative concept hardly defined by the dreams of a food truck owner. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, she recalled something Jack mentioned during their conversation. "You have to define success for yourself, Maria." Those words echoed in her mind, a quiet urging that tugged at the corners of her heart. Could she step away from the expectations of everyone around her and carve her own path? She exhaled slowly, feeling the knot in her stomach shift. It was time to take agency over her own aspirations. The following day, she resolved to improve her menu, experimenting beyond her comfort zone. With Jack's encouragement ringing in her mind, she painstakingly crafted new recipes, hoping to elevate her food to something worthy of admiration. Her small workspace became a battlefield of flavors and textures, each dish a stepping stone toward her vision of success. One experimental recipe involved incorporating local ingredients she had previously overlooked. A rich beet and goat cheese tart layered on a homemade pastry became her obsession. As she plated it, the colors unfolded like a canvas, vibrant and alluring. It felt daring, yet liberating. This was the Maria she wanted to be. But doubts invaded her excitement when she returned to the corner of Maple and 4th. The same faces that had mocked her dreams were now judging her with scrutiny. Did she belong here? She offered a free sample of the beet tart to one of her regulars, an elderly woman who had always favored traditional mac and cheese. The woman took a delicate bite, her expression inscrutable. "It's different," she finally said, her brows furrowing in contemplation. Different. The word loomed over Maria. It meant change and rejection, yes, but also potential. As the sun began to set, she saw Jack approaching from a distance, his face illuminated with curiosity. She felt a swell of determination rising within her. Perhaps, with his support, she could challenge the confines of her past. This connection was an opportunity, a chance to turn recognition into something concrete and meaningful. "Jack!" she called out, her voice steadier than she expected. He turned, surprise flashing across his features. "I'm working on something new. Will you help me?" His eyes lit with interest as he stepped closer. "What do you have in mind?" This was her moment. As the colors from the setting sun painted the sky, Maria grasped the possibility of forging a new identity, aware of her family's doubts, but more resolute than ever to carve out her own truth. They could underestimate her, but she was ready to show them a different version of success, one that started at her own kitchen. Just before Jack could ask more, a voice interrupted. Maria's brother stood on the fringe of her food truck's bustling energy, arms crossed, the scowl carved on his face unmistakable. "You still haven't answered our question, Maria," he sneered. "Are you quitting this fantasy or what?" The tension thickened, like a storm about to break. Maria faced him, heart pounding, ready to defend herself, her dreams hanging in the balance. The time had come for confrontation, both with her brother and within herself. Would she stand firm against the pressure, or would she buckle under the weight of family expectations? Maria's resolve hardened as her brother's sneer sank in. The familiar weight of familial pressure felt like chains tightening around her. She inhaled deeply, drawing on the courage she found amidst the uncertainty of her culinary aspirations. "This isn't just a fantasy," she replied, her voice steady, more confident than she felt. "This is my dream, and I'm going to make it work." The look on her brother's face shifted, confusion mingled with disbelief, masking the emotions brewing under his stoic exterior. "You think you can make a living selling beet tarts from a food truck? Realistically, it's a joke. You're just throwing away your future." His words stung, wrapping around her like a vine suffocating a sapling. Yet, strangely, that sharp pain transformed into an even sharper determination. Maybe he was right, at least about one thing. She needed clarity, a plan that extended beyond the present moment. She needed to transition from mere survival to mastery over her craft. Jack watched the exchange from a short distance, the curiosity in his expression shifting to concern. As her brother walked away, still casting glances of disdain, Maria felt a rush of ambivalence. She had stood her ground, but at what cost? Did she truly have the skills and vision to turn her food truck into a thriving business, or was she merely convincing herself that she could? Determined to prove herself, she meticulously outlined her strategy that night. Clarity began to unfurl like a well-constructed menu. She could focus not only on improving flavors but also on the presentation, adding a personal touch to the way she served her food. The beet tart needed more than taste, it needed a story. So, she shifted gears to find inspiration. The following days became a blend of testing recipes and sketching designs. Maria visited local farmers' markets, engaging with vendors about their products, learning about the stories behind ingredients. The more she discovered, the more vulnerabilities flipped into strengths. One vendor spoke passionately about his heirloom tomatoes, igniting a spark in Maria's mind. What if her menu told the story of community? With fresh perspectives pouring in, she incorporated a seasonal rotating dish that would reflect what was available from local farms. As she began to sculpt her menu, she felt exciting sensations coursing through her. Each ingredient became a brush stroke on a canvas, her food transforming into art that celebrated her culture and roots. This was not just about food, it was an expression of herself, her identity. Days turned into weeks filled with new flavors and community engagement. Her food truck gained increased patronage, conversations blossoming around her creations. Customers who once regarded her with mockery now had a glimmer of curiosity in their eyes as they discovered her unique offerings. Doubts that plagued her family slowly began to recede in the wake of tangible growth and connection. As she sliced through her latest creation, a colorful ratatouille inspired by the diverse vegetables she sourced, Maria felt a new equilibrium. She was moving beyond survival, she was thriving. The truck buzzed not just with customers, but with camaraderie as they shared laughter, stories, and satisfaction. This was success redefined. Just as she was about to close for the day, Jack returned, holding a clipboard and beaming excitement. "Maria," he said, his voice brimming with enthusiasm, "I have an idea that could take your menu to the next level. But I need to know if you're ready to take a risk." Anticipation filled the air, and Maria's heart raced. Risk, a word that had once terrified her, now glimmered with possibility. Could this be the breakthrough she had been waiting for? Her fingers trembled slightly as she wiped her hands on her apron, steeling herself for whatever lay ahead. "Tell me everything," she urged, braced for action, ready to chart a course beyond her current horizon and confront the past she was still unraveling. Would she seize this opportunity, or let the shadows of doubt creep back in? Jack exhaled, his excitement translating into urgency. "What if you launched a pop-up event? Just a weekend, showcasing your best dishes alongside some local bands? It could draw in a crowd and give people a reason to talk about your truck." His eyes sparkled with ambition, making Maria feel a mix of eagerness and anxiety. The idea seemed infinite in its potential. The very thought of transforming her passion into something more substantial sent a rush of adrenaline through her. Yet, doubts simmered under the surface. What if no one shows up? What if everyone hates my food? "Maria," Jack interrupted, his voice commanding her attention. "You've worked too hard to doubt yourself now. This could amplify your brand and let you connect with a different audience. You can do this." The pressure on her shoulders intensified as she processed the implications. A pop-up event required meticulous planning, marketing, and execution. Each element carried its own risk. Would people truly answer the call to sample her creations? Could this be the bridge to something larger, or would it be another venture that could lead to failure? Determination overrode her fear, intertwining with a flicker of resolve she had cultivated in the past weeks. "Okay, let us go for it," she said, surprising herself with the strength in her voice. For the next few days, Maria shifted into a whirlwind of organization. She created a timeline, mapped potential locations, and composed a social media strategy to spread the word. Yet, in quiet moments alone, shadows of apprehension whispered in her mind. As she prepared, she found herself questioning whether her newfound confidence was genuine or a facade veiling deeper insecurities. She scrutinized her menu, ensuring every item was a reflection of her artistic journey, an outward expression of her internal metamorphosis. Each dish needed to resonate, not only with flavor but with an emotional connection. With every passing hour, anxiety curled tighter around her. The thought of standing in front of a crowd, waiting for reactions, made her palms sweat. This wasn't simply a test of her food, it was a trial of her spirit. Success, even for a moment, could shift the narrative of her life. Could she really redefine who she was in the eyes of her family, her brother? Days flew by, and soon the moment arrived. The pop-up transformed their worn-down parking lot into an electric atmosphere. Strings of lights illuminated the space, patterned tablecloths adorned each surface, and the scent of her beet tarts mingled with the sound of laughter in the air. Jack helped set up, and she stole glances at the rising crowd. Each person represented a potential experience: validation, enjoyment, connection. As the first customer timidly approached the food truck, Maria's heart raced in tandem with her anxiety. When the patron took the first bite, time seemed to suspend. Would the reaction echo her brother's skepticism or validate her journey thus far? Suddenly, she felt the weight of every decision leading to this moment. At that instant, she wasn't just serving food, she was showcasing her entire story, her identity. As the customer chewed thoughtfully, their eyes lit up in delight. A satisfied smile spread across their face, and she felt a rush of hope, but just as a wave of relief washed over her, a sharp voice cut through the joyful atmosphere, drawing her attention. Is this supposed to be a joke? You think you can compete with real chefs? The familiar sneer belonged to a figure Maria least expected to see, a well-dressed man whose presence felt heavy with disapproval. As she steadied herself to confront this unexpected antagonist, a persistent question lodged in her mind: could this moment break her, or would it fuel her resilience to continue? The stakes heightened, and uncertainty mingled with adrenaline. Everyone's eyes shifted to her. Here lay the defining moment of her culinary journey, the moment she had been both waiting for and fearing. What would she say? How would she respond? Maria's breath caught in her throat as the man's words hung heavily in the air, oppressive and pointed. She felt the weight of the crowd's anticipation pressed against her skin. Their eyes flickered from her to him, and in that moment, she was painfully aware of everything she had invested in this endeavor. The colors of the string lights dimmed, the laughter faded into a distant memory, and all she could hear was the echo of doubt that had always lingered in the back of her mind. What a curious comment, she managed, summoning a dry, composed tone that barely masked the emotions swirling within her. She could see the crooked smirk on the man's face, an unsettling mixture of judgment and amusement. Tom, her brother's colleague, had arrived, not to show support but to mock her aspirations. Curious, he repeated, raising an eyebrow. Curious that you'd think your little food truck can stand up to the culinary world. I've tasted better meals from microwave dinners. His laughter, tinged with condescension, opened a cavern of anxiety within her. Rummaging through her thoughts, Maria grappled with the urge to buckle under the weight of his contempt or to assert herself, regardless of the fear burrowing deeper in her gut. She envisioned her brother, who so often questioned her life choices, adding to the cacophony of voices doubting her in that moment. But this was her time to redefine everything, to embrace not just her passion for cooking but the courage to stand up in the face of aggression. You think that your experience gives you the right to belittle everything others have worked for? She challenged, surprising herself with the confidence in her words. She felt a wave of adrenaline rise up inside her, energizing her resolve, and somewhere in that moment, her perspective shifted. Cooking is more than just fancy plates and Michelin stars, she continued, her voice growing steadier. It's about heart, and you wouldn't understand that if it hit you in the face. The crowd hushed, the energy in the atmosphere oscillating as people leaned in closer, catching their breath. The disbelief on Tom's face seemed to provide her with fuel. She was gaining ground. Somewhere within, she realized this confrontation wasn't simply about defending her menu. It was about who she was and who she had the potential to become. Tom opened his mouth, readying a retort, but she raised a finger, interrupting him. You asked me if I think I can compete with real chefs. I don't want to compete with anyone. I'm carving my path, and I deserve a shot at it, as much as anyone else. The words hung in the air, resonating like a bell toll in the night. For a brief instant, she basked in the validation from the crowd, the nods of support, whispers of encouragement. This was not just about food anymore, this was an affirmation of her worth. However, doubt still flickered in the corner of her mind. What if the crowd turned against her as easily as they had rallied behind her? She shook her head, dismissing the thought, and thrust herself forward, presenting a plate of her beet tarts to the nearest customer. The patron took a bite, and the delighted smile that followed rekindled a flame of aspiration within her, but as the moment settled, Tom's smirk returned, more smug than before. "You may have won this crowd," he sneered, "but don't think it's enough to change your fate. You'll fall flat, just wait and see." The word struck her like a dagger. Was this just the beginning of a new battle, or had she already triumphed over her biggest hurdle? A new determination boiled deep within her, and she realized this confrontation was not a defeat but an awakening. "Maybe I will," Maria replied nonchalantly, a sly smile creeping onto her face. "But you just watch me get back up every time." The crowd interrupted, clapping and cheering, while she struggled to drown out Tom's fading voice. What had begun as a moment of confrontation transformed into an opportunity for clarity. As her confidence surged, she connected with the excitement and energy pulsing around her. Maria refocused on her next dish, but questions about her future thrust themselves into her mind. How would she build upon this sudden momentum? What would it take to sustain this connection she forged with the crowd? And as she began to plan her next steps, she realized one thing: she had only scratched the surface of what this journey promised. Would she be able to cultivate her ambition into something permanent, or was she merely setting herself up for another letdown? With every pulse of the music and every clap of encouragement, she felt the anticipation bubbling within her, and the next challenge lay just around the corner. Would she have the strength to embrace it? The kitchen hummed with potential as Maria moved swiftly, each chop of knife against cutting board marking a beat in the song of her determination. The vibrant colors of her vegetables mingled in a dance of creativity, mirroring the rush of adrenaline that still coursed through her veins from the confrontation. The cheers of the crowd created an echoing backdrop, spurring her to focus on every detail, every flavor that would connect her with the audience, yet the specter of doubt lingered. Tom's condescending laugh resonated in her memory, threatening to cloud her newfound clarity. "You'll fall flat," it taunted, like a whisper on the wind. Were her aspirations simply a fog of illusion, drifting through a landscape dense with skepticism? No, she resolved, she would not allow his words to take root in her mind. As she plated her next creation, a delicate quinoa salad accented with zesty citrus dressing, Maria's thoughts drifted back to her culinary training. She had spent so many hours learning the intricacies of flavors, how to balance them with care. This was not just a hobby, this was her livelihood and passion intertwined. Yet fear coiled tightly around her satisfaction. What if she couldn't keep up this momentum? Was she simply a flash in the pan, destined to burn out after a moment of brightness? Shaking her head against the doubts, she meticulously added a sprig of mint as a finishing touch. The explosion of flavors in her dishes was what she strived for, what set her apart in a world where culinary giants thrived. Perhaps it was time to let the world see that her heart was in every bite she crafted. "Another one," she called out, handing a plate to a woman who had been waiting eagerly. The patron took her first bite, and Maria's breath hitched slightly, waiting for the response. Eyes lit up, a smile broke across the woman's face, and in that moment, Maria's heart soared. Each positive reaction fueled her, reminding her that this journey was indeed worthwhile. Yet beneath the exhilaration lay a crucial realization. Every dish served was a declaration, each compliment a banner raised high. She understood now that sustaining this vibrant connection with her audience would not be a task accomplished through a singular dish or moment. What if her next creation failed to evoke the same connection? Striving for consistency became her new mantra, a silent vow she must uphold. Hours slipped by as she crafted dish after dish, and with each serving, Maria felt a deepening sense of ownership over her food. It wasn't just sustenance, it was a story, and she was its author. But just as she began to embrace this ownership, Tom's voice echoed again, a persistent reminder of the industry's harsh realities. Did she truly have the skills to make it, or was she destined for ridicule? As the evening wound down and the last customers departed, Maria took a deep breath, surveying the remnants of her bustling day. The kitchen, though stained with the chaos of her fervent cooking, felt oddly serene. A myriad of possibilities lay ahead, yet an unsettling void formed at the thought of facing more detractors in the future. How many would scoff at her ambitions before she found lasting acceptance? Determined not to dwell on negativity, she began to clean up, but her mind remained fixated. The environment around her sparkled with life, yet tucked away within was the weight of her ambitions. Undoubtedly, she needed to turn this moment into a strategy for growth. Networking, learning from esteemed chefs, and pushing beyond her comfort zone all hovered tantalizingly close. But shadows of insecurity continued to cling, threatening to pull her back down. Could she really learn from those who had already paved the way? What if they dismissed her efforts as merely amateur? The internal conflict tightened around her heart, a firm grasp she had to break free from if she hoped to rise. As she stacked her pots and planned next steps, a flicker of inspiration ignited within her. Perhaps a class or workshop could sharpen her skills, something to elevate her beyond the basics. Yes, that might be the key. But which path to choose? The one calling for mentorship or the one bursting with self-discovery? Everything around her felt charged, alive with options. Just as Maria felt an inkling of resolve, a mysterious figure appeared at the entrance of her food truck, a tall man in a tailored coat who eyed the remnants of her culinary creations with sharp interest. He stepped closer, and her heart began to race. What did he want? Impressive work for a novice, he remarked, the corners of his lips curling into a smile that held both admiration and something else, something almost challenging. Thank you, Maria replied cautiously, not yet willing to buckle under the weight of another stranger's judgments. I know a little about carving one's own path, he continued. Maybe I can help you, a collaboration of sorts. At those words, Maria lifted her gaze, interest piqued. The wheels of curiosity began to turn in her mind, a burgeoning opportunity forming where uncertainty once stood. What could this mean for her future, and what hidden revelations lay ahead? Maria took a step back from the food truck, bracing herself for the uncertainty swirling around this unexpected visitor. She sensed an urgency in his invitation, an arrow piercing through her hesitation. This could be her break, yet the shadows of doubt continued to loom. What kind of collaboration do you have in mind? Maria asked, striving to keep her voice steady, projecting confidence that she didn't quite feel. She had to know more. Was this a lifeline or another trap? Let's just say I have connections, he said, his eyes discerning. It might not be easy, but I see potential in you, this drive to connect with people through your cooking. I own several successful restaurants, and I'm always looking for fresh ideas. We've crossed paths, but you don't know who I am yet. She hesitated. The thought of someone like him, successful, powerful, taking an interest in her was both exhilarating and terrifying. I don't want to waste your time, she said, an instinctive pulse of modesty surging through her. Oh, but you're not wasting it, he replied, his voice smooth as silk. I sense that you're at a crossroads, and I can help guide your direction. You have the heart, but do you have the strategy? Maria felt like a flame flickering in the wind, the fiery glow either illuminating her path or threatening to snuff out. And what's in it for you? She pressed, skeptical but motivated. Trust was not easily given. Sometimes, sharing the spotlight can lead to more opportunities, he answered, sincerity glimmering in his eyes. It's a competitive world, and you might not realize just how competitive it is until you're inside it. His words hung in the air between them, vibrating with meaning. The thought of mentorship from someone seasoned in the industry was intoxicating. Yet, how often had she heard similar promises that never materialized? This isn't just about exposure, is it? Maria took a deep breath, grounding herself. I don't want to compromise my vision. Exactly. He responded, enthusiasm breaking through. I can help refine it. Let us carve out a space where your passion and my experience intersect. A win-win. As Maria considered his offer, her mind churned with kaleidoscopic visions of success. She wanted to believe in this opportunity, to think that someone could see her potential beyond what she felt was limited by her circumstances. But a whisper of Tom's mockery invaded her thoughts, pulling her down a familiar path of self-doubt. What if she was not ready? What if this only led to more humiliation? A low sigh escaped her lips. If I agreed, where would I even start? She asked, her cautious curiosity simmering just beneath the surface. Let us begin with a tasting menu, he replied confidently. Something that represents your culinary voice but also appeals to a wider clientele. I want to put you in touch with a select few who can offer insight. He raised an eyebrow, a challenge wrapped in a smile. Dare to step outside your comfort zone? With those words, something inside Maria clicked into place. This was not just an invitation, it was a summons. A chance to break away from the whispers of doubt that had kept her frozen for too long. But fear nagged at her. What if she failed, and not only disappointed herself but someone willing to help? Taking a deep breath, she felt a swell of adrenaline rush through her veins. What do you see in me? She asked. Her vulnerability edged between bravado and trepidation, daring to confront her deepest uncertainties. Vision, grit, a unique flavor that the culinary scene desperately needs. But it's your choice, he said, his expression shifting into calm seriousness. Step up, or step aside. That moment hung in the air, charged with potential. Maria understood now that she was being offered not only guidance but needed a renewed perspective on her identity as a chef. More than ever, she wanted to seize the moment, to forge a path that was authentically hers. But could she really transform and rise to his challenge? Time slipped away as she mentally mapped out her possibilities. Would she place her trust in this stranger with an alluring offer, or risk remaining tethered to her insecurities? Only one way to find out, and it could either shine a light on her aspirations or cast shadows she might never escape. I'll think about it, she finally replied, her voice steadier than before. As the man nodded, satisfied, a dawning realization lit within Maria. Would she be ready to unveil her authentic self to the world, beyond her fears and past struggles? As the door of her food truck closed behind him, she felt something unshakable within her, a determination to rise, even though the weight of the decision loomed ahead. Just as her heart began to race at the thought of plunging into the unknown, another thought struck her. Was she truly prepared to challenge not just the culinary world but the very fabric of her own identity that had kept her hidden? In the quiet aftermath, a figure at the periphery of her vision caught her attention. A woman with a knowing smile watched her from across the street, leaving a new seed of intrigue planting itself in Maria's mind. Who was she, and what part would she play in this unfolding journey? Maria's mind was a whirlpool of thoughts as she closed the door behind the stranger. The scent of grilled vegetables still lingered in the air, but it felt as if it had taken on a new significance, swirling around her ambitions and fears. Here she stood at a precipice, the familiar hum of her food truck now drowned out by the thunder of conflicting emotions. Resting her hands on the counter, she flexed her fingers, feeling the roughened skin a testament to countless hours spent cooking and perfecting her craft. The notion that someone with genuine influence had noticed her was both flattering and intimidating. Had she really been stuck in the shadows for so long that the light felt foreign? The thought made her stomach churn even as a small flame of hope flickered within. Her eyes drifted to the window, where the woman with the knowing smile remained, her presence conspicuous yet enigmatic. Who was she? Did she sense Maria's turmoil? The idea of yet another layer of complexity to unravel in this florid moment gnawed at Maria's thoughts. Still, this was a chance. Glancing at her phone, she felt a pang of loss over half-baked ideas she had let die in the dark corners of her mind. Time to breathe life into them. Taking a moment to recalibrate, Maria began listing potential dishes for the tasting menu. Each swirl of the pen felt like a brush of wild paint, a vibrant splash ensuring that her culinary identity would shine beyond the confines of her safety net. Get your own voice on the plate, she muttered under her breath as she wrote. Inspiration flowed, farm-fresh produce mingling with whispers of childhood flavors, creating compositions that could echo her soul. Yet, the doubt whispered back. What if no one liked her creations? She shook her head, forcing herself to redirect her thoughts. Failure was a part of growth. After all, hadn't she stuck to her principles despite the odds? The realization was humbling. It wasn't just about whether others saw her worth, it was about how she viewed herself. The more she engaged with this new vision, the more the possibility of transformation began to take root. Deciding to grasp this opportunity, she picked up her phone and began drafting a text to the man. I'm in, she typed, her pulse quickening as she stared at the screen. With a deep breath, she hit send, releasing her trepidation into the ether. A moment later, her phone buzzed, startling her from her reverie. Fantastic. Let us meet tomorrow to discuss this further, came his prompt reply. Maria felt her heartbeat quicken again, but this time with anticipation rather than dread. Tomorrow. She needed to prepare, to arm herself with confidence. As she glanced back at the woman outside, her gaze locked onto Maria's, bringing a fleeting sense of connection. The woman smiled wider, and in that moment, Maria felt a surge of energy course through her. Maybe success was about recognizing that every single emotional flicker, doubt, fear, and hope was part of this overarching journey. Just as she was about to turn back inside, the woman moved closer, crossing the street with a purposeful stride that intrigued Maria. "Mind if we talk?" she asked, her voice warm but resolute. Maria caught a glimpse of something familiar in the woman's eyes, a spark of understanding that made her stomach twist. "Sure," Maria replied, curiosity taking the reins of her apprehension. What insights could this stranger provide? As they exchanged pleasantries, the woman set her gaze on Maria. "I've been watching you for a while now. You've got something special, don't let anyone tell you otherwise, not even yourself." The unexpected affirmation sent chills down Maria's spine, mingling the thrill of validation with the urgency to dig deeper. What did the woman know about her? What had she seen that Maria could not? Just as Maria opened her mouth to ask, the woman's expression shifted, hinting at urgency. "But there's something else you need to confront before you leap forward." Maria's heart raced at the prospect of more revelation. What lay beneath the surface of this entwined fate? And how would it shape her journey? Each question hung in the air, tempting her to seek deeper truths as she stood at the nexus of her life, poised for the unveiling of secrets she never expected. Maria's pulse quickened as she anticipated the woman's next words, a cocktail of anxiety and curiosity swirling inside her. The world around her blurred momentarily, as if her life existed in a frame out of focus. "What do I need to confront?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, thick with tension. The woman took a step closer, lowering her voice as she spoke. "Your fear of rejection. It's holding you back more than you realize." Maria felt the weight of her stare, a stare that seemed to peel back layers of her carefully constructed facade. The rawness of the observation landed heavily on her. "Fear of rejection?" Maria repeated, the term rolling over her tongue like a bitter tonic. How could she not fear it? Rejection had been an unwelcome companion in her journey, a hallmark of her struggles, a specter she had learnt to outmaneuver. Yet here it was, laid bare under the sunlight of scrutiny, as if that fear had been an open wound all along. "Think about it," the woman pressed gently. "You've held back on sharing your true culinary self because of what others might say. That's not just about their opinions, it's about your perceptions of worthiness. When you let that fear govern your choices, you limit your potential." Each word seemed to resonate in the quiet sanctuary of her mind, amplifying self-doubt but sparking a desire to reclaim her narrative. Maria's fingers trembled as she shaped the words into fragments of understanding. What if the very fear she wished to escape was the key to unlocking her growth? "What if I put my ideas out there, and they don't resonate?" she asked, conflict evident in her voice. "Then you learn," the woman stated firmly yet compassionately. "You refine, you adapt, and you rise again. But if you never take that leap, if you succumb to that fear, you'll never know the beauty that can come from embracing your truth." Maria's gaze flitted over the busy street, noticing the vibrant colors of food stalls and the laughter of patrons enjoying meals. This was the world she longed to engage with, and yet, here she was, encasing herself in self-imposed barriers. The realization was both liberating and terrifying. "Ask yourself this," the woman continued, her voice gentle but unwavering. "What matters more to you, fearing rejection or living fully and authentically?" Maria inhaled sharply, as if the question ushered in a gust of fresh air. It dawned on her that this encounter was more than just an interaction, it was a pivotal moment laid out in front of her. Could she really confront her fears? What would that mean for her food truck, her identity, her future? I think I can try," she whispered, her heart racing at the thought of vulnerability she once shunned. "No more hiding." "Good," the woman replied, nodding with approval. "You're on the brink of a breakthrough. Remember, every chef needs to taste their own ingredients before serving them to others." A determined fire ignited within Maria, a flicker now becoming a full blaze. As they captured the essence of their discussion, she felt an unexpected camaraderie welling between them, as if the woman understood every ounce of her struggle. Then came the moment when the woman reached into her bag and produced a business card. "Call me. I have contacts that can help you showcase your vision. But first, work on embracing this new path one step at a time." Maria glanced at the card, temptation and hope dancing before her, but what truly caught her was the invitation to step into the light of possibility. With every fleeting moment, she could feel herself evolving, challenging the limits which her fears had imposed. As they parted ways, Maria touched the card lightly, feeling the weight of opportunity it represented. Could she seize control of her narrative? The day ahead loomed with uncertainty, yet she felt an enticing pull toward embracing her true self. The meeting with the man awaited, and she needed to present not just her dishes but herself. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting an amber glow against her food truck, making it appear as though it radiated warmth and promise. Maria stood taller, her heart beating with newfound resolve. She was ready to make her presence known. The moment of truth awaited her. Just as she was about to step back into her space, her phone buzzed, jarring her focus. There it was, an invitation message from the man, detailing the meeting location. But it wasn't just an opportunity. It felt like the finale of a test she didn't know she was taking. The words leaped from the screen, igniting a flicker of wild anticipation, the unknown whispering its own promise. What revelations awaited her in the meeting? Days turned into nights as Maria prepared for the meeting, her kitchen bustling with innovation and anticipation. The hesitation that once gripped her now transformed into a fierce determination. She envisioned each dish she would present, ensuring that every bite would encapsulate her journey, her fears, her resiliency, and ultimately, her triumph. Arriving at the restaurant owned by the man who had offered her the collaboration, Maria's pulse quickened in rhythm with her aspirations. The atmosphere buzzed with professionalism, yet she felt a layer of excitement bubbling within. It was more than just a meeting, it was a stepping stone into a new version of herself. As she stepped into the dining area, she was greeted by the man, Ryan, his demeanor a blend of authority and warmth. "You made it," he exclaimed, ushering her to a sleek table where an array of ingredients lay waiting, ready to be transformed. Maria took a deep breath, steadying herself as she prepared to embrace the moment. "I've brought some ideas," she stated, pulling out her neatly organized portfolio, a reflection of her culinary reflections and aspirations. Each page bore her heart and soul, the passion she felt poured through her sketches, ideas, and recipes. Ryan nodded appreciatively as she began presenting, explaining her vision of not just offering food but crafting an experience, one that told the story of her roots intertwined with innovation. She detailed how her beet tart represented change and daring in the face of skepticism, while her quinoa salad was a celebration of local produce and community connection. As Maria spoke, she noticed Ryan leaning in, his gaze attentive. In that moment, she soared with confidence. The more she talked, the more she realized this was not just about impressing him, it was about reclaiming her identity. Her words flowed effortlessly as she articulated her aspirations, each sentence ringing with the power of conviction she never knew she possessed. "So, how do we take these ideas from concept to reality?" Ryan asked after Maria had shared her vision for a tasting menu, highlighting dishes that represented her journey of culinary mastery. Maria felt a pulse of exhilaration surge within her. "I want to create a limited event at my food truck," she proposed. "A chance to showcase my passion and connect directly with the community. It could serve as both a launch for this collaboration and a direct approach to test how my ideas resonate." Ryan's eyes lit with interest. "That could be brilliant. We can make it an immersive culinary experience, drawing in the crowds and offering them a taste of your journey." The discussion unfolded over the next hour, a blend of brainstorming, strategizing, and mapping out actionable steps. For the first time, Maria felt not like a girl with mere dreams, but as a capable chef with a strategy. Every suggestion Ryan offered felt like a confirmation of the potential he recognized in her. As their meeting closed, Ryan set a hand on her shoulder, his gaze steady and encouraging. "You have a distinct voice in this space, Maria. Embrace it fully. I'm here to help you carve it out further, but the heart of it all lies with you." Maria nodded, gratitude permeating her thoughts. The fear that once held her captive began to dissipate. Each interaction strengthened the bond between her ambition and ability. She could feel the walls of doubt crumbling away. Weeks rolled by as preparation sprang into action. Maria transformed her food truck into a vibrant hub of creativity, adorned with decor that captured her culinary identity. With Ryan's mentorship, she sourced local ingredients to craft her menu, a celebration of flavor rich with the stories that shaped her life. On the day of the event, the parking lot buzzed with excitement. Customers mingled, and friendly chatter filled the air. Maria stood behind her food truck, heart racing as the first attendees approached. Each bite they took was an affirmation, smiles and words of delight followed, echoing her vision. Suddenly, a familiar figure appeared in the crowd, her brother, arms crossed, face a mixture of skepticism and intrigue. Maria felt her heart flutter. Would this be another moment of rejection, or a chance for reconciliation? As he approached, a moment of tension thickened the air between them. "This is different," he admitted, glancing at her menu board where her culinary creations sparkled. "Your concept. Your dishes. They're, well, impressive." Maria inhaled deeply, the moment's gravity weighing upon her. "I've been redefining my journey, taking risks," she replied, her voice steady. "I wanted to show everyone, including you, that I'm capable of more." He studied her for a moment, the skepticism in his eyes wavering as realization replaced it. "Maybe I misjudged this whole thing," he said slowly, almost as if accepting defeat. "You've always had potential. I just didn't see it before." That acknowledgement flickered a warmth in her heart, a sense of validation that was deeply fulfilling. Maria's fears began to dissipate, replaced by the love that had always been tethered to her dreams. "Thank you," she murmured sincerely. "This is just the beginning. I want you to be part of it moving forward." As Maria continued to serve her food, patrons returned for seconds, raving about her culinary creations. Her heart swelled and echoed with each compliment. No longer defined by others' opinions or held back by her fears, she stood confidently, proud of who she had become. By the end of the day, as the sun dipped below the horizon and soft lights twinkled atop her food truck, Maria felt a deep sense of achievement. She had embraced her journey, faced her fears directly, and turned every setback into a stepping stone toward her dreams. She gazed at the crowd, feeling a new bond with those who had once doubted her. She was no longer just Maria from the food truck, she was a chef, an artist, and an individual who had conquered the shadows of her past. At last, she found solace in her newfound path, a clarity and purpose where rejection became strength, and dreams were served on a plate. Her journey was still unfolding, yet she felt a solid confidence and mastery over herself that she hadn't imagined possible. The best part was knowing she was just getting started. The horizon stretched as limitless as her culinary dreams. So let this be a reminder: take the leap, embrace your identity, and never underestimate the power of your own narrative. You have the strength to forge your path. And as she locked up her food truck that night, one thought reverberated in her mind: today was merely a turning point. She was ready for whatever the future held. Now, if you found this inspiring journey of self-discovery and culinary triumph relatable, you need to subscribe now for more exclusive emotional stories that will lift your spirits and ignite your passion. Leave a like now to support the channel. Your engagement makes a huge difference. Comment with your reactions and theories about Maria's transformation. I love hearing from you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this compelling conclusion. Don't wait even one more second.